Inside sales teams often spend up to 45 minutes on a single quote, manually cross-referencing product data across NetSuite and multiple supplier portals. For a $30 million operation processing over 200 requests per week, these manual lookups consume hundreds of hours of sales capacity every month. We built an engine in 2 weeks for $8,500 that reduced this 35-minute workflow to just 4 minutes. To execute a build like this, you need 3 things: administrative access to the internal database, credentials for external supplier portals, and a centralized logic engine. Relying on manual data retrieval creates a hard mathematical ceiling on a distributor's ability to grow their revenue. The first rule of rapid software architecture is to define a tight scope to prevent the workflow from bloating. We isolate only the high-volume, repetitive quote requests for the initial 2-week sprint, ensuring the most common tasks are automated first. A frequent mistake in these builds is trying to account for every rare or customized edge case on the first day. Forcing every exception into the initial automation plan turns a 2-week sprint into a 6-month development cycle. Maintaining strict scope discipline is what allows these builds to remain fast and cost-effective. With the scope defined, we begin the technical integration by connecting the logic engine to the internal enterprise database. Inside the database settings, we generate API integration keys to provide the engine with secure permissions to pull data. We then input these keys into the centralized logic engine, establishing the internal catalog as our primary data source. We validate the connection by pulling a single part number from the catalog to confirm the system is communicating correctly. This real-time pipeline to the internal catalog is the foundation that makes external supplier automation possible. The next step is pulling real-time cost and inventory variables from 3 separate external supplier platforms. This hub-and-spoke mapping shows how data from the internal database and the external suppliers flows into one centralized location. Automated queries often fail because internal part numbers don't match the codes used by external suppliers. We solve this by applying formatting normalization rules within the logic engine, ensuring all 4 databases recognize the same part numbers. Digital translation is as important as the connection itself. Without normalized data, the automation cannot function. In the final assembly phase, we build the logic pathways and the user interface the sales team will actually use. We map the database inputs to a search interface that triggers all 4 queries at the same time. To test the system, we input a complex quote request identical to the ones the sales team handles in the field. The engine cross-references the internal core and all external portals, compiling the complete output in 4 minutes. Replacing 35 minutes of manual search with 4 minutes of automated logic allows the sales team to focus on winning the deal instead of finding the data. The sales team can now generate a multi-source quote without having to open a single secondary browser tab. This build represents a specific mathematical return, an $8,500 investment that recovers roughly 3 weeks of sales capacity every single month. This ratio of low cost to high capacity return typically leads to a 90-second approval from financial leadership. Audit your own 30-minute manual data bottlenecks to find the best candidate for an automation sprint. In modern industrial distribution, the speed of data retrieval determines how many bids a distributor can process and win.
AI coding tools just dropped the cost of custom software by 90%. Most B2B operators haven't noticed. I'm Steven, founder of Brandyard. We build production-grade AI tools for B2B operators, quote, engines, billing automation, internal dashboards, work that used to require a 6-month dev contract ships in a week. If you've ever said we should just build that ourselves, book a discovery call at brandyard.net/vibe-coding.